Oh my God, so in now blessings. I am no white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. For the right God from white man oppression. I have no white God. It's just a black Messiah. If a white God not bless, so I'm not blessed. What is rightful right? So not stay mute. Your system is designed to distract from the truth, but it will come to pass. I know not to be used in the process of time. We will know the truth to give we white God to praise His name. If you follow one in the black community, the black Messiah, you try to see with fantasy, but we're not to make you destroy the love with luxury. That's why I have to touch so I am no place in love with that. As I know the name, the victim of the righteous action. Oh God, I won't be conquered in this region. Oh yes, I am. Don't strong, don't tell me off your white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the one that save me from white man upbringing? I am the white God. It's just a blood Messiah. Oh my God, I bless you in a bless. Oh, me face conquered with hunger. Can't start no right. Oh, good all things. Who that one you will must be white. So what about the black and in the most in life? You want your white to free me sick. Watching me and you text the version of the Bible. Oh, you want it. Remember, I know the evil won't go unpunished. Fear you iniquity, you want to wisdom or wit. All evil people shall sink in the heart. I have no white God. Don't teach me anything wrong. Who the one that save me from white man oppression? I have no white God. It's just a black Messiah. We want God that bless, and God bless His love. I'm no white God.
Yeah, Shalom Israel. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding Gen.YAHANNA. We have been teaching the truth about the Bible since 1969, that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. All right, tonight is Wednesday, right? So tonight is the Wednesday night law class, right? Before I get into it, all right, we will just run over the classes, all right, schedules during the week, right? On Monday, right, is our local history class in Trinidad and Tobago, right, which is done by Priest and Officer Makar Kobal. All right, on Tuesday is the Brotherhood class with Priest and Officer Wapiala. On a Wednesday, which is tonight, all right, is the Wednesday night law class. This class is usually done by Priest and Officer Matkwayak, all right, but I will be holding on the class tonight. I am Priest and Officer Maikwa, right? So I'll be holding on the class on behalf of Officer Matkwayak tonight, right? On a Thursday, right, we do not have any classes locally, but we stream the classes straight out of Harlem, New York, right, with 12 Shield General Mahaiman, right, which is a scripture breakdown class. It is a very interactive class, right, and you could ask any questions that you have about the Bible, right, and you get a chance to interact with one of the generals, right. On a Friday is the Lashawan Kwadash, right, which is the Hebrew class, all right. This class is done by Priest and Officer Yakad. All right. From time to time, you will see other officers in the class as well. This class teaches the reading, writing, right, of the ancient and modern Hebrew, which is the ancient Hebrew, the Paleo Hebrew, and the modern Hebrew, which we know as the Assyrian Hebrew today. All right. So that is the Hebrew class. The Hebrew language is the original language of the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man who belongs to the nation of Israel. All right, not the modern day Israel that we know today, right? But the true Israelites of the Bible is the Black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man, right? According to the Bible. On a Saturday, we have the Sabbath service, the Sabbath service, which is done by priest and officer Yakad and priest and officer Sowapiala. All right, from time to time, also you may see other brothers conducting the Sabbath service. All right, the Sabbath service begins at 10 a.m. right, and usually ends around 12 p.m. right. So you could tune in, right, and log in and see what the Sabbath service is all about, how to keep the Sabbath, and how it is conducted, right. Also on a Sunday, right, is our local scripture breakdown class. All right, this class is done by the head of the Trinidad and Tobago camp, right, which is priest and officer Galawan. All right, he is the head of the Trinidad and Tobago camp, and he does the local scripture breakdown on a Sunday, right. This class also is a interactive class, so you can tune in and ask your questions online and have it answered, right. Any question that you want to know about the Bible, right. So those are the classes during the week, right. All the classes during the week run from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. right. So from Monday straight through except the Sabbath service, right. It runs from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. right, and the Sabbath service starts from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. right. So those are the classes during the week, right. Tonight is Wednesday, so this is the law class. So we're gonna get a bit into the law in this class, right. So we're gonna get right into it, right. And tonight we're gonna understand, right, that the Most High laws it's forever, right. The Most High laws wasn't done away with, as the Christian church like to say. That is not true. According to the Bible, the Most High laws still continues even till this day, all right. And the Most High gave the nation of Israel, which is the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man, laws, statute, judgments. He gave them an entire constitution to follow, all right. And this is what would have been the black man's wisdom, right, to navigate himself while he lives on the earth, all right. So we're going to get straight into it. We're going to get the first scripture again, Deuteronomy 4 and verse 6, Babakosha, right. This was supposed to be the black man's wisdom and how he dealt with everyday life, right. And this would be his guide, right, while he navigates his way upon the face of the earth, right. So you give me Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse, you can give me from verse 5, Babakosha. Deuteronomy 4 and 5.
Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments.
All right, so the scripture begin, all right. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, right. So the Most High taught us statutes and judgments. Go ahead.
Even as the Most High power commanded me,
right, just as the Most High commanded Moses to do, he gave them it, right. Go ahead.
That you should do so in the land whether you go to possess it.
All right, so it's saying we should do so in whatever land we go to possess it. Understand? Whether it be in our homeland Israel or wherever we may be, right, we were supposed to keep and do the Most High's laws, right, his statutes and judgments, right. Continue.
Verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom.
This is our what?
This is your wisdom.
Go ahead.
And your understanding.
Right. This laws, statutes, and commandments would be our wisdom and understanding. Right. This would be our way to our guide for us to conduct ourselves and to approach anything upon the face of the earth. Right. The law would be our guide. Right. Go ahead. And our constitution. Go ahead.
In the sight of the nations.
In the sight of the what?
In the sight of the nations.
In the sight of the nations. Right. So these laws were given to Israel. It wasn't given to the whole world, right, as the Christian church like to say, right? It was given to the nation of Israel, right? Go ahead.
Which shall hear all these statutes and say.
Right, so the nations will hear all our laws, statutes, judgments, right, in the black man's constitution. Go ahead.
Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
Right, and the nation will say this is a wise and understanding people. Right, and this is something that the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man does not understand today, Understand? Because the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man fell away from these laws, right? Our forefathers fell away from the laws, and now we under the curses and or the punishments, right? Under these nations. Now we in servitude to these nations, right? And the so-called white man today being so wicked and evil, understand? They decided to strip the nation of Israel, right, of their constitution, their laws, their identity, right, their economic might, military might, everything, right? And now the black man today does not know who he is. He does not realize that he, right, belongs to the nation of Israel, which is the chosen people of the Most High, the chosen people of God, right? We are those people that we read about in the Bible. The black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man all belong to one nation of people, right? And the nations around us, right, the elites conspire to keep the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man in darkness today, right? That's why he doesn't understand who he is and runs from one religion to the next, right? Trying to find some sort of spirituality and guide for his life, all right? And he doesn't understand that he was chosen by the Most High, right? Continue.
Verse 7. For what nation is there so great who had the Most High so near unto them?
That's right. And understand? It say for what nation is so great. This is what make Israel great. You understand? Because the Most High was nigh unto us, was near unto us. You understand? He was our God. And understand? It says that, that he is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's the God of who? Israel. It didn't say the whole world. Understand? It said the Most High is the God of Israel. Right? Continue.
As the Most High our power is in all things that we call upon him for.
That's right. Understand? And we call up, we were supposed to call upon the Most High for all things, but we were led away by the culture and deceitfulness of these other nations. And because of that, the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man is in servitude to these other nations today for all things, for clothes, for shoes, for everything we need to go to some other nation for it, right? So the black man end up in the bottom of society, all right? So now that we get a little understanding of that and understand that the laws was for the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, right? Now the issue is that the church is telling you that these laws totally done away with, right? And has nothing to do with us today, right? So the churches now cause our black men, Hispanic man, and Native Indian men to live a life in sin, right? Breaking the Most High's laws, right? That's what sin is. Sin is the transgression of the Most High's laws, right? So the black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man is doing what he wants to do, right? Not knowing that he is supposed to still keep the Most High's laws even till this day, all right? So give me Exodus chapter 20 and verse, we can start from verse 1, right? Right? The black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man does not realize that the Most High's laws is still in effect today, right? And in the church, you normally hear about the 10 commandments, understand? And they say, well, we don't need to keep that, right? Right? Some people only feel that there's only 10 commandments in the Bible, right? The 10 laws we're supposed to keep, and that's it, understand? But the Bible is a book full of laws, right? It's not just the 10 commandments, right? But a lot of, because the Christian pastors and Christian religious leaders today do not understand the Bible. They tend to believe that it's only 10 commandments, right? So give me from Exodus 20 and verse 1, Babakasha.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 1. And the Most High spoke all these words, saying,
All right.
Verse 2. The Most High thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
All right. So when the Most High brought Israel out of Egypt, right, and brought us in the wilderness, right, the Most High said, right, he is the God that brought us out of Egypt. Go ahead.
Out of the land of bondage,
right?
Out of the house of bondage.
And the word Egypt is synonymous with the word bondage, right? So Egypt was known as the house of bondage. That is why America today, right, is also known as the modern day Egypt, or spiritual Egypt, right? right? They are also the house of bondage, right? Go ahead.
Verse 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Right? When you read verse 3 now, it started going, right, with the Christian church, like to call the 10 Commandments, right? So we'll just go through a few of them and get some understanding on it, right? It said, thou shalt have no other God before me. So we were supposed to never have any other God beside the Most High. And understand? We're not supposed to be serving no God at Easter and Easter Bunny and Halloween, understand, and Christmas leading all the way back to Nimrod, right? These how we follow other gods, right? All when we join all them Muslim religion and walking around the Kaaba stone in Mecca, understand, believing this rock fall out from space, right? All these things is how we serve other gods, right? So we were never supposed to have any other gods before the Most High, right? Go ahead.
Verse 4, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images.
All right, and we was never supposed to make any graven images. Understand? We not supposed to erect anything to bow down to worship it. Right? Go ahead.
Or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above.
All right, or anything we see in the heaven. You know, some people making sun god and moon god, right? And corn god. Understand? Anything god after all different type of delicacy. And as I come from the Hindus are god of elephant god and God with the 10 and 12 hand and all these kind of things. All these things we was never supposed to do, right? We were supposed to stay away from these things, right? Go ahead.
Or that is in the earth beneath.
Right? Or even that in the earth beneath. So if we dig in the ground and we bounce up something that's not supposed to be a god, it's not supposed to bow down and worship it. Right? Or all these different statues that like to erect and carve out a stone, right? And bow down and worship it, or going in the Jewish man land, right? The fake Jews, right? In Israel, bowing in front of this wall. And understand? About 50,000 times, and I with a black hat and I don't know, two I don't know what is that on the have on the side, you understand? Right? All these things we were never supposed to do, right? So anything we see in heaven, anything we see in earth, right? Go ahead.
Or that is in the water underneath.
Right? And it even include that what we will see in the water underneath. So if you dive in the sea, and you see some strange creature and you want to come and make a god out of that, that was never supposed to happen. Understand? So you're never supposed to make no type of graven images, right, before the Most High, right? That is not the culture of Israel, right? That is not the culture of Israel. We're never supposed to erect any statue or anything like that. The Christian church that has some big giant cross. Understand? Then that had a lot of these churches pick up the pattern of the white Christ in Brazil, right? The one that the can't open out and watch over and people trekking and taking vacation just to go and see the statue and bow down to it. Right? We were never supposed to do these things. Understand? None of these things is of the Most High. And many of these things is what the Christian church encourage and bring upon people. Right? That's why that's why here in the I.S.U.P.K we just tell Christians to come out the Christian church. Understand? Because they're sending down the path of destruction. All right, the Christian church does not keep any of the Most High's laws, statutes, or commandments. Right. Continue.
Verse 5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them.
You're not supposed to do what?
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them.
All right. So we were never supposed to bow down ourselves to none of these graven images that we see upon the face of the earth today, whatever they may be. Right? We were never supposed to bow down. When it was the Muslims bow down before the Mecca stone. You understand? The Hindus bow down before their multi-hand god. You understand? The Christians bow down before all these massive white Christ statues of Caesar Borgia that they have. They bow down before that. You understand where I'm from? So all the religions of this world doing the opposite of what the scriptures say. Yet they say that they follow Christ. Right? Which according to the Bible, they don't. You understand? Right? The Christian church is doing something totally opposite to the Bible. Right? Continue.
For I, the Most High, thy power, am a jealous God.
The Most High power is what?
a jealous God.
That's right. Go ahead.
Visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them.
Right. You see, Moses sees that jealous God because he made the nation of Israel for him. You understand? Right? He chose us. We didn't choose the Mosai. The Mosai chose us. Understand? So if he's a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian man, whether you like it or not, you belong to the nation of Israel. Understand? Right? And he said he visits the iniquity. Right? We like the all-loving God, the all-kind God, the merciful God. All that part we like. Understand? We love all the nice parts. Understand? And we fail to see that the Most High is saying here that he will visit the iniquity or the sin of the fathers upon the children. Understand? So if you want to continue living a life or however you want to live it, and it's saying one life, and you don't care how you live, he say what? He will visit that iniquity that you cause upon your children. So then you're going to cause your children to suffer. All right, and he say he will carry it to the third and fourth generations, which means the grandchildren and your great grandchildren going to suffer. And understand? Because you didn't care. And understand? You didn't give a damn about the laws of the Most High. And understand? All you were studying was we pastor say. And understand? And pastor say we don't have to keep the laws. And because you believe pastor say we don't have to keep the laws, then your children, their children, and their children will suffer. Understand? Because we didn't want to hear the truth that is written in the Bible. Understand? Here in the I.S.U.P.K under commanding Gen.YAHANNA, thank God for commanding Gen.YAHANNA holding on the truth since 1969. Understand? And making us aware. Understand that we are supposed to continue to keep the laws of the Most High. Understand? Continue to hold it on. Right? Understand? And the scripture said this is the reasonable service. Understand? If this is the bare minimum we could do for the Most High. Understand where I'm coming from? All right. So we go jump down a little more, right? Because we go through all the whole thing, right? Right. Jump down to verse 13.
Verse 13. Thou shalt not kill.
Right, a lot of people know this one, thou shalt not kill, right? You're not supposed to murder anybody. Yet still, we have tons of murders every single day. And understand? All kind of police brutality, police kneeling down on man's neck. And understand I'm coming from? Police shooting man in the back. And understand? Police coming for you 3 o'clock in the morning and murdering you. But they don't care about no court case again. Nobody care about the case. Everybody turn judge, jury, and executioner one time, right? Right? So we're not supposed to kill anybody, right? Without cause, right? Word.
Verse 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Right? We're not supposed to commit adultery. Right? Adultery is sleeping with a next man's wife, right? Or a woman sleeping with a next woman's husband. All these things is adultery, right? We're not supposed to commit adultery, right? With anybody, right? That's a law we should not break, right? Continue.
Verse 15. Thou shalt not steal.
Right? And say, thou shalt not steal, right? Go ahead. Everybody understand that? Go ahead.
Verse 16. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Thou shalt not do what?
Bear false witness against thy neighbor.
And this has happened plenty. And a lot of people, they ain't see nothing. And they're done ready to talk with a hair. And and some of them wasn't even there. And I'm coming from, right? And everybody have a story. That's not supposed to happen. That is not a culture Israel. And that culture is from the heathen. And I'm coming from, we're not supposed to be a false witness against anybody, right? We go drop down a little more, right? So as we're going through, this is where a lot of people know about the 10 commandments in the Bible, right? Right? But drop down to verse 18, Baba Kusha.
Verse 18. And all the people saw thundering and lightning and the noise of the trumpet.
Right? So all the verse, right? When the Most High the angel of the Most High was giving all the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and he reached 10, right? Right? 10 was you're not supposed to covet your neighbor house and wife and these kind of things, right? And when it reached there now, it says all the people saw the thunderings and the lightning and the noise and the trumpet, right? They started to see all these rumblings in the sky, right? Go ahead.
and the mountains smoking.
Right? And even the mountain was smoking. Go ahead.
And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off.
Right. So when they started see all them lightning and thunder and rumbling and the mountains and the smoke, them realize, hey, we could get killed here. You understand where I'm coming from? So everybody back away from the mountain. And I say what? They stood afar off. Everybody, so they became afraid. You understand where I'm coming from? Because everybody started to see like something going to happen. Like they don't know if it's an earthquake, a storm, what want to brew, but they know something going to happen. Right? So everybody become afraid. Right? Remember, and keep in mind, this is when they reach the 10th commandment. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 19. And they said unto Moses, speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die.
Right? So they became afraid. They thought God was going to kill everybody. You understand? I don't know how the Christian Christians come up with this loving concept. Yes, the Most High is a loving father. You understand? Right? And he always have an outstretched arm. Right? Right? And he always have mercy. But there's another side to the Most High that is very frightening and very terrible. Right? All these things with the Christian church and these religious leaders don't speak about. You understand? Right? And verse 19 showing you that they become so afraid. Right? They're saying, Moses, you go and hear what the Most High had to say, and then come back and tell me. You understand? First, they become so frightened that they don't want to hear anymore. Right? Continue.
Verse 20. And Moses said unto the people, fear not, for the Most High is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your face, that you sin not.
That's right. You understand? When they begin to see the true power of the Most High, you understand? Nobody thinking about sinning because everybody knee shaking. And understand where I'm coming from? And when here Yahushua, who we know as Jesus Christ, right, return to the earth, you understand? That's how it will be. You understand? Nobody will be thinking about sinning that time. You understand? Because it will be fear and trembling. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 21. And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where the Most High was.
Continue.
Verse 22. And the Lord said unto Moses, thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, you have seen that I have talked with you from heaven.
Right? The Most High share, he make a point. You understand where I'm from? Right? And now the Most High, the people remove themselves from the bottom of the mountain because them become afraid. Right? They no longer wanted to hear. Right? Because they were so afraid. So now Moses now had to go and take and hear what the Moses had to say and then come back and tell them. Right? From there, I wait to we jump over to Exodus chapter 21 and verse 1, Babakosha.
Exodus chapter 21 and verse 1. Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them.
Right. And say, no, these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. Right? And this is good to understand. Now, the Most High now, right, started to deal directly with Moses because the whole congregation, the whole nation of Israel had become afraid. Right? So right now, the Christians is about, right, well, that was the 10 commandments. Right? But the Most High he's now going to give Moses the rest. Understand? And this will the Christian church ignore. And as I'm from the Christian church only making them feel that it's only 10 commandments, right? In the Bible, and that they're not supposed to follow them. When the Bible is a book full of laws, right? So when you read on in the whole Exodus 21, it begins to show you all the rest of judgments and statutes and things that Israel is supposed to follow. Right? So we're skipping across for time, right? Give me Exodus 24 and verse 3, Babakosha.
Exodus 24 and verse 3. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Most High.
Right? So then after the Most High now, after the people back off, and Moses went to hear what the Most High had to say, right? It say now, and Moses came and told the people the words of the Lord. So now he come back now, and I stand to tell them what the Lord say. Go ahead.
and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the word which the Moses had said will we do.
Right. So this is where it become important to the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man. And what the Christian church miss, because the Christian pastors don't understand the Bible, right? Is that our forefathers at the time in the wilderness say that all the words that agree, right? That all with the Moses tell, where Moses say that the Moses tell them to do, that they will agree. Understand? So from way back, we didn't agree to keep the Moses laws, statutes, and commandments. So don't make nobody tell you today that they're not supposed to keep them. Understand? Because we forefathers already make the agreement. Right? It's too late to turn back now. Right? Right? Go down to verse 4, Baba Kusha.
Verse 4. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, the Most High, and rose up early in the morning and built an altar under the hill,
right?
And 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel.
According to how much?
The 12 tribes of Israel.
According to the 12 tribes of Israel. And understand that the nation of Israel today still have 12 tribes. And understand? It's no different from back then, right? Jump down to verse 7, Baba Kusha.
Verse 7. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people.
So after now, right? After they agree to do all the things that the Most High tell them to do, now Moses took the book of the covenant and began to read it in the audience, right? So he opened the book, right, and he began to read for every man to hear, right? So nobody couldn't say that they didn't hear, right, or there wasn't there. Every man was at that time was present, right? Go ahead.
And they said, all that the Lord had said we will do,
right? And they agreed to do it. Understand? Right? Nobody enforced them to do it. Them agree to do it. Continue.
And be obedient.
And they say they will be obedient. Understand? Go ahead.
Verse 8. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which the Most High had made with you concerning all these words.
Right? And there is where Israel make a covenant with the Most High to keep the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. Understand? Right? This is where this come from. This is where it starts. Understand? Right? Everybody agree. All the forefathers agree that they will keep these laws and they will pass it down to the children and to the children. Right? So from there, give me Exodus chapter 20 and verse 10, Baba Kusha.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 10. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Most High thy power.
Right, and this, right, we're going to get in here is one of the laws we agree to keep. Understand? And the Christian church today do not respect the Lord's Sabbath. Right? So it say the 7th day is supposed to be the Lord's Sabbath. Right? So anywhere you go in the world, right? And you know, they like to say, well, this is Eastern time, and the next one is Pacific. The most I make it easy. You don't work out that. We say once the 7th day reach, that is the Sabbath. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? And when you look at today, the Christian church love Sunday. Right? What is Sunday in this calendar? In this calendar, Sunday is the first day of the week. Right? So immediately the Christian church don't break one of the Most High's laws already. Right? Before they even start. Understand? He make it simple. The Most High doesn't make things hard. Just like he tell you to only eat fish with fin and scale. He didn't tell you well only eat racando and power and kingfish. And you don't have time to figure out all the names. But you know, even though you don't know the names of the fish, once you see a fish with fin and with scale and it fit the criteria, you could consume. Understand? So the Most High does make things very easy for everybody. Understand? They don't complicate things, right? And in this day, he says the 7th day is the Lord's Sabbath. So everybody's supposed to know whenever the 7th day for you, That is the Lord's Sabbath. Everybody's supposed to keep the Lord's Sabbath, right? So all of them try to change times and seasons and all these things. They know the 7 days the Lord's Sabbath, right? Continue. So and the 7 days are Saturday, right? Go ahead.
In it, thou shalt not do any work.
Right? And on this day, we're not supposed to do any work. Right? It doesn't mean, right, that if you feel to go and pick up a shovel and throw shovel some sand on the side, that's your work. But it means that you're not supposed to pick up any work for hire. You're not supposed to, like how we just go to work and slave, right? But now we're in captivity. So a lot of people will have to go to work. Because you can't say go to work because right now you're in slavery. A lot of people don't know that. Right? The nation of Israel is in captivity today. We are in service to all the other nations on the face of the earth. Right? But when we back at our nation, right, celebrating the Sabbath, we will not be working on the 7th day, right, of the Most High. That will be a day of rest, right? A lot of the fake Israelites, understand, like they say, you can't cook on the Sabbath, understand, and all these different kind of things, right? When paraphrasing, but the scripture say even the priests profane the Sabbath. Or the priests profane the Sabbath by doing what? Burnt offerings, right? And when they say burnt offering, they didn't mean that they just put a piece of meat on a fire and it just burning, and it just burning until it turns ash. They didn't mean that. The meaning they used to cook on the Sabbath, right? So you could cook on the Sabbath, right? And the reason why they used to prepare, right? Because the scripture showing you that they used to prepare the day before, right? Prepare everything they're supposed to eat the day before on the Sabbath, right? And the reason why that has happened is because how we thinking about the Sabbath today, we thinking too modern, right? Or too small. But back then, so let me say, you, Officer Shai, you're running a business, you understand? Right? And you have a whole set of servants, right? And workmen, right? They would begin to prepare everything in advance because when the Sabbath reach, you can tell them to come and cook. You understand? Right? If you have an entire palace running, you can tell them to come and cook for you on the Sabbath because they couldn't come to work. That was their DRS. Everybody has to get their DRS. So in order now to make sure everything running smooth, they would prepare the day before and then them gone. The person in charge, whoever running them, have everything under control because all the food done cook and all what's supposed to be done. You understand where I'm from? So a man will be running back in the bank to say, well, oh gosh, we didn't sign the pensioners check. No, that won't happen. They will do all that the day before. You understand? So that when that day come, everybody in rest. You understand? Because all that work that was supposed to be performed today would have been performed the day before. Right? And everybody now could get rest. And everybody had to get rest. Right? When we continue, we go see why everybody had to get rest. Continue. And it they shall not do any work. Verse 10. You can read from the top of verse 10, Baba Kusha.
Verse 10, Exodus chapter 20 and verse 10. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Most High thy power.
Right? So the 7 days the Lord's Sabbath, go ahead.
In it thou shalt not do any work.
And he was not supposed to do any servant work, any work for hire. Right? Any work, not supposed to be working for anybody, right? Continue.
Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter.
Right? So you're not supposed to be doing your work. Neither your son supposed to be doing any work. Neither your daughter, go ahead.
Thy manservant.
The manservant, go ahead.
Nor thy maidservant.
Nor your maidservant, go ahead.
Nor thy cattle.
Right? So you see, this person was in charge of our entire household. He had servants, he had maidservants, manservants, right? And he was not, that day he couldn't work them. So them has to prepare everything the day before and on the Saturday because he know they're not coming on the Saturday. And it's Saturday is them day off, right? So nobody wasn't coming, right? And it go even to the cattle. And as I'm going, you have to get the cattle, you know them big bison, you have some big bison and thing pulling carts. And understand, and pulling plow to plow the ground and these kind of things. You couldn't walk them. And understand? All them beasts had to get rest. Unlike today. Today no animal don't get rest. They walk in them 24/7. You understand? Right? If horse, if you had horse, all them horse, you have to get them a rest. That day is just for them to eat hay and drink water. Right? So even if animals have to get rest, continue.
Know thy stranger, that is within thy gate.
Right? Know anybody who living within your gate, anybody who you in control of in that compound, no, it couldn't work anybody. And understand, it had us to give everybody a rest. Right? And this is a law, right, that was given to the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man. And now think about that today. You understand? Imagine that you're guaranteed that one day nobody couldn't walk here. You understand? That was your day. That was your day of rest. You understand where I'm coming from? That was a day you could look forward to. That day you will do whatever you want to do, which is whatever is lawful. You understand where I'm coming from? That was your day of rest. And not they couldn't even work your own animals. You understand? And that to show you how the Most High is a righteous power. You understand? He consider everything from man straight down to beast. You understand? That was a day for a man to rest. Right? Now, if you like to read or wherever you want to do, you read. And that's where I'm coming from, right? Or I don't know if painting your house relaxing. No, we go say that work, but they're not working for anybody. You're working for you, that yourself. You understand? If you want to go and paint your house on the rest of the day, that you. You understand? But that was your day, right? And understand the city. A paraphrasing the scripture say the man wasn't made for the Sabbath was made for man, right? That was his day of rest, and he could do whatever he would like to do on that specific day, right? All right, so that was one law that made Israel a wise and understanding people. Understand? Because why? No other nation had this. All them other nations working 9 to 5. You understand? Just like the white man today. The white man working all 18, 19 hours to get 4 hours sleep to get back up like our beats. You understand where I'm from? Right? He looking to work everybody down to a pulp. He didn't care. He said, don't stay home. You're sick, your nose running. Still come to work. You understand where I'm from? That's how the other nations operate. Them is full on slavery. You understand? But according to the Most High, that day, every man had that day of rest. You understand? And it's a reverence to how the Most High took his rest when he finished creating the things in this world. You understand where I'm coming from? Go ahead, Sasha.
Yes, like I said, even Buzz Butler, you are Buzz Butler, right? When he was doing all the like the striking and union thing, right? Even he didn't understand like the Sabbath day is for man, and that thing he was saying hey, why can't be bringing out people and on the Sabbath and that the day for rest, and that was one of the things that you're able to bring the double time and the triple time, because that would have be because if you check back
because it'll be advantaging people.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm coming from, right? So I like to show how far that stretch. You understand? From way back. You understand? Right? So this is I'm just going through a few laws so people will understand it's just not the 10 Commandments alone. The Bible full out. We're going to chat on all today. You understand? But we will go through a few so that we will understand that it's just not the 10 Commandments alone, right? And people could get a little more understanding on it. From there, we go jump to give me Exodus chapter 23 and verse 2, Babakosha. You can give me from verse 1, Babakosha.
Exodus chapter 23 and verse 1. Thou shalt not raise a false report.
Thou shalt not do what?
Raise a false report.
Well,
put not thy hand with the wicked to be an unrighteousness witness.
Right? So don't put your hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness, right? You could have never raised a false report, right? No way in Israel you could just make up something and just come and accuse somebody else, right? That would have been to your demise. And understand? The Most High would never allow that. And understand? And this is show all these laws are what make Israel a wise and understanding people, upright people. And understand? This show you the wisdom of the Most High and how the Most High does operate. Now, when you think about this, right? The first part said, "Thou shalt not raise a false report," right? Just look at today on the internet. People accusing anybody of anything with no evidence. You understand? You understand? The seats of Hebrew Israelites inside the street, right? When I call them terrorists and a cult, You understand? No investigation, nothing. You ain't care. You understand? They just looking to tarnish and destroy people's name. You understand where I'm coming from? Right? And if they do further investigation, they understand that these men is as men of the Lord, keeping all the most high statutes, laws, commandments, and understand, having the family in order, the children, and understand where I'm coming from, living an upright life. But nobody care about that. You understand? Just them the terrorists. You understand? The beard big and that breed and the black, aye, they terrorists. You understand? And that is all them things fall into that false report category. You understand? When you think about things like the media and the papers, you understand? Them just print anything. You understand where I'm coming from? And imagine how much news reporters might have dead already. You understand? Because there's only false report all over the place. You understand? From lies and deceit and people deceiving one another. You understand where I'm coming from? All them things can never happen because all people, if it was like back then, all those people being stoned to death. You understand? And that why Christ had to come to give the nation of Israel that grace. You understand? So that we could get time to understand and realize that this is what makes the Most High loving God. You understand where I'm coming from? Because he used to punish iniquity and wickedness from among the people. You understand? And that's why the last part say, put not thine hand with the wicked to do unrighteous witness. You understand? Them thinking good. You understand where I'm coming from? The things like saying the Most High go accept homosexuality. You understand? Or the Most High like Christmas, a lion. All them things false report. You understand where I'm coming from? Celebrating Christmas and Easter and Halloween and try to merge that with the Most High and Christ. That all them things false report. You understand where I'm from? Because the Bible never say nothing like that. It never say to celebrate Christmas. It never say to celebrate Easter or Halloween or Pagua and all the different things, Diwali and all these different kind of things. You understand? No way in the Bible say that. You understand? And these is things and laws that the Christian church make the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man break today. You understand? Because the church decide that all these laws is just done away with. You understand? Them don't care. You understand? And that is how the Black man need to come out of the Christian church and need to come out of religion and the Muslim mosque and all these different denominations that keep popping up all over the place. That's why they need to come out of these things. You understand? Because none of them, you understand, do what the Bible says. All of them do the opposite. Right? We'll continue to verse 2, Baba Kusha.
Verse 2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil.
Right? And it said, thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. And one of the biggest multitude we just follow to the evil is voting. And the Most High never said to vote. And that's one of the biggest multitude. What is 78 million people vote for Donald Trump. Right? I think it was like I think it was like 73 million and 78 million vote for Biden. Right? What's the kind of numbers? So overall in that whole election is like 100 and something million people come out to vote. Right? Look at that multitude. And when you look at that multitude now, you say you're going to vote. So you follow an entire nation going to vote. And what? And it said, never follow what? Read from the top, Baba Kusha.
Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil.
Never follow a multitude to do evil, because in the Bible, the Most High say we're not supposed to vote. You understand? We're not supposed to set a king of another nation over us. You understand? Right? It's supposed to be one of our own, who the Lord shall choose, not man. You understand? We ain't getting up to no consensus to vote. You understand? The Lord will choose that man. Right? Just like when they had to choose the disciple to take Judas' place. Understand? They were to do the I think the cast lots or pull straws, right? Understand? Right? Chance. That is of the Most High. Understand? Wherever it falls, that the Most High wanted it to fall there. Right? Unlike now, you can't trust our dice again. And because that was Levi's that is the tribal Levi symbol, the dice. Right? And you can't trust a dice again, because why? The white man corrupt a dice. He smoothing the edges so it's falling on the same number over and over and over. Understand? Or in a casino, they lock the machine right? And understand at a certain limit. And understand so right through people only losing the money, right? In the kingdom, none of them think could happen. And understand the people, the Most High will destroy you for that. And understand where I'm from? If a man pull on you with 21 million or however the jackpot is, that's it. You're supposed to give me 21 million, let you go. And understand where I'm from? Right? That is the most I wanted he to win 21 million that specific day. And understand where I'm from? But the white man is not a fair and them do know about fairness and justice and these different kind of things because them like brute beasts. They come to capitalize on all the different nations and the youth. And understand? So them all of them is about is winning and staying on top and staying in rulership, right? And to keep everybody in the bottom. Go ahead, Officer Shah.
Yes, like I said, when you come back, that same thing you say, money multitude, I know too.
Mm-hmm.
Like the picture of Warlock, right? What they're making trade, that thing, right? When the first time make it, but when you like really to get to you to really understand what they were seeing that and only studying the gunman because the two fellas had something, right? And one they started pick up all the partners and they say, hey, that man right for that man and thing, and nobody actually voice the cause and thing, and everybody just die out and nobody understand what the main reason. And when they come back and they show people, hey, you just join something and they just ask that question.
You ask a question, you understand? Or what about a lot of people join behind Martin Luther King thinking that could be hand in hand with the white man for equality. You understand? You follow an entire multitude to do evil. You understand? Because the Most High never set us to be equal. You understand? He set us to be what? Above all nations on the face of the earth. You understand where I'm from? So all them things, and just like we're saying, all these things, right, is how the Most High how the people follow a multitude to do evil. You understand where I'm from? And these are things that the Most High told us not to do. You understand? And these are laws that the Black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man is currently unaware of. You understand? They don't know about this because the church not teaching this. Right? Right? Another way, right? Another way, how it follow multitude evil, the white man come up with LGBT so like LGBTQ L and then going all the way down the we reach Z by now. And that's not coming from, right? And all this is what following a multitude to the evil because right in their mind homosexuality good for them. Understand? But according to the Mosai, right? You give me Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 13, Babakusha. Understand? But excuse me. But according to the Bible, understand, homosexuality is a sin against the Mosai. Understand? The Mosai never designed man to be with man and woman to be with woman. Right? Right? A man was made for a woman. Or a woman was made for the man, I should say. Right? And we're not supposed to be mixing up all these things like interracial marriage and white woman marrying black man and black man married in Chinese and all these things that's supposed to happen. The Most High create proper and perfect order, right? So the white man is for the white woman, the Chinese man is for the Chinese man is for the Chinese woman, the black man is for the black woman. And understand? We're not supposed to be mixing up in all these intermarriage culture. I mean, if today that your wife is from another nation, right? You and your wife is from two different ethnicities. You can't throw away your wife. You understand? You just have to live with that. You understand? But according to the Bible, right? We're not supposed to marry have interracial marriage, right? Give me Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 13, Babakusha.
Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 13. If a man also lieth with mankind.
Right, so you say if a man also lieth with mankind, go ahead.
As he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed abomination.
Have committed what?
An abomination.
Go ahead.
They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
That's right. And understand? So way back, and this is way back in the time of Moses. And understand? And even further back, as with Lot. You understand? Because all the people in Sodom and Gomorrah are turned homosexual and lesbian. You understand? Right? And the Most High telling them, man, he never designed it that way. He never designed man to lie with man like a woman. That never, understand, was in the Most High plan. And understand where I'm coming from? All right, that is the scripture says that is an abomination. That is an abomination to the Most High. Understand? I tell you how wicked that is. Understand? All right, and it say what? They shall be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. And a lot of people go watch them big parade and say, well, look them people and dying. Understand? Right? But the Most High does reserve you. Understand? For that that special punishment, right? Before you think before we jump from there, give me right? Give me Ecclesiastes, right, in the Bible, 8 and 11, Babakisha. Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, right? So because a lot of people will watch and say, well, but look, all them people is homosexual and nothing happened to them. And they're living long. Some of them getting old, living all up in the 80s and 90s, and nothing happened to them, right? So give me Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, Babakisha.
Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
That's right. And understand. So because they become a homosexual and nothing happened to you yet, you understand? Your heart set to do evil. You understand? The fear of death gone. You understand? Because you're feeling like you're invincible. You understand? Look, I break the rules and nothing happened to me. Right? Continue.
Verse 12. Though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged.
All right, so it said, do a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, and looking like you're living long. All right, go ahead.
Yet, surely, I know that it shall be well within them, for within them that fear the Most High.
Right, and Solomon saying here, although looking like the sinner living long, one thing you sure about is if you fear God, right, it will be well with you, right? Continue, but it has something that the wicked don't know. Go ahead.
Which fear before him.
Continue to verse 13.
Verse 13. But it shall not be well with the wicked.
It shall not be what?
But it shall not be well with the wicked.
And this is what he didn't know. This is what the prophet didn't know. You understand? That one thing for sure, though he living long too, you understand? And he have a long life, and looking like he lived till he's 90 and he's a homosexual, like Elton John. Though he living long, that one thing to sure about, that at the end of it, it will not be well for you. You understand? It will not be a pleasant going back to the Most High for you. You understand? Judgment is where you're going to face. You understand? So don't feel escape. Don't feel you see a man he living life long, 94, and he dead, and it looking like it appearing that he died peacefully in the bed. The Most High have it in for you. You understand? The Most High have ways. You understand? And making you feel the pain. You understand? So sometimes you return to the earth in a terrible condition. You understand? The Most High, he just have ways. You understand? Because at times, a lot of people feel that they was on top of the world, and the Most High swing it in such a way, you get bent. You understand? Or look like Slovakia, look like Bishop Eddie Long for years. You understand? All kind of homosexual trend he dealing with in the church. You understand? And he get one of the most terrible punishment, and still has to go and face the judgment of the Most High. And as I come from, Eddie Long was big and strong and muscular. The man become like a whip. Understand? You could have barely recognize him. Understand? Shame, because the entire congregation get to realize that the way he was doing behind the scenes. Understand where I'm coming from? And the whole entire, it spread to the whole world. Understand? All that shame and guilt come upon him, and then you're going to face the judgment of the Most High. Go ahead.
So like I said, I was talking about Elton John and thing, right? When I was younger, I think my brother lived in Sagwana and thing, so in Sagwana had the cable and thing early and thing, and down lab beside they had no key, but say like when when holidays so we can reach and thing, glad to run up there and always watch BT and all them thing. That's I keep on watching all the music video. And that day I couldn't get to watch no BT and because Elton John wedding was
it take over the whole media. I remember that. I remember
switching.
And they deliberately promote the wedding on almost every station. You understand? Just to try to push homosexuality. I remember that. You understand? Right? And not because these people living long and it appearing that nothing going to happen to them. The Mosai doesn't forget. You understand? The Mosai say he will never acquit the wicked. You understand? So don't feel like get away. You understand? The Mosai have ways of punishing them. And if they look like they die a normal life, I'm telling you, when they return to the earth, is hell. You understand? And torture and damnation for them. You understand? They're not going to live a nice life. Right? Right? So you can finish off verse 13, Babakusha. You can read back from the top, Babakusha.
Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 13. But it shall not be well with them. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 13. But it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days.
Right? He can make his days longer than with the Most High give him. Understand? The Most High in charge of that. Go ahead.
Which are as a shadow.
Which is a shadow. Compared to the Most High, where we live in, the Most High just had a wing and that pass. Right? Continue.
Because he feared not before the Most High.
Right? Because he never feared God. And the Most High said, don't really get away. Understand? Punishment. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Understand? You feel because a man died in an accident, he was bad. And the next man who just drop asleep, he was good. Nah, it don't work so. Understand? The Most High had he way how he does do his thing. Understand where I'm from? So while some people for the hardness they might die from violent death because some of them was really hard and they could see it in the lifestyle. Understand? That is not up to us to judge. Understand? The Most High is who had that in control. Right? So do feel a man who live an unrighteous life and die at an old age means that he escaped the wrath of the Most High. Right? According to the Bible, it works for he. I'm telling you, it's better you get violent that now, understand, than you live long and you're waiting on judgment of the Most High. That's terrible thing, right?
So I guess that's some talking at that's some people when they're smoking the cigarette and thing, they say I'm smoking for 40-something years
and nothing happened.
And nothing happened. And what you're going on? There's no kind of problem. We got problems too.
And some of them looking like nothing happened to them. And while some of them nothing happened to them at an early age, but at a late age is all kind of cancer and they all go for blood transfusion, and some of them spend the latter half in their life just laying down in a hospital bed. You know what I mean? Right? So some you might see the punishment visually, but for others who some people may think they escape, the Most High say they didn't escape. And I the Most High, he didn't forget that. Right? He learned that slide. And that's thing that religious leaders and the leaders of all these different denominations not telling the congregation. Understand? So they're going up in the church, understand, pretending to be holy, and then going home and doing something else, understand, and not realizing that it will eventually have a punishment for it. Understand? Right? So from there we will jump to give me Numbers chapter 15 and verse 38. Understand? All these is laws that the Most High give us. Understand, to keep. We just go through a few of them, so that people will understand that it not basically just the 10 commandments. It have more laws and statutes and commandments that the Most High gave us, right? Numbers 15 and verse 38, Babakasha.
15?
Yeah, 15 and verse 38.
Numbers chapter 15 and verse 38. Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they may make them fringes in the borders of their garments.
All right, and this was a law that the Most High gave to the children of Israel, because the children of Israel was above every other nation, and he was a special people unto the Most High. You understand? Right? So when it was all the different nations today, right? Some are sari, some are suit like the white man. The white man likes, I don't know. Out of all of, I don't. The white man, the white people are strange because they don't even know, like. No, it's a funny thing because you don't even know, like, every nation have a special way of dressing. He's suit, yeah, suit and tie, and I don't know, right? Like, the white man is weird, right? But every nation go have that their culture and how they do things. And some Chinese people go have a different wrap attire. Arab people had a different attire, right? The nation of Israel was given a special attire to wear, right? And the Most High bid us to make fringes on the borders of the garment, right? He didn't say t-shirt on the borders of the t-shirt. I understand, like how some of them fake Israelites and putting fringe on the edge of the undergarments, and all these kind of things. That I know not the Most High. The Most High say put fringes on the borders of your garment. Your garment is your priestly attire. You understand where I'm from? Right? So that would have the fringes and the border. The border is the way the edges of two garment meet. Right? Now I see some of them got the fringes like coming down the side, and the jacket with the like how this is here, right? With the two borders of the two garment meet, right? Fringes in the borders of your garments, right? Or they'll have the garment, the throwover garment, and you will see that the fringes on the borders, right? So that's the one I think I'm supposed to have. Right, I think like something like this, but this one didn't say, but you can see that how they have on the Hebrew garment, right? And if you notice, right to the edge, the border of the garment, you will see you have the fringes on the border of the garments, right? Some of them is on the side, some of them is underneath. You know what I mean? Right? So that is called fringes on the border of the garment. And then now go ahead, continue.
Throughout their generations, and they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. Right,
and on the border, the fringe supposed to have a ribbon of blue, right? And that is what distinguishes the garment of the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man, right? Or Israelite man, right? You will have fringes with ribbon of blue on the border of his garment, right? And that was our law that the Most High gave us to keep, right? And now we're gonna understand how long the Most High gave you this to keep for. Go ahead.
Verse 39, I shall be unto you for a fringe, that you may look upon it, and remember all the commandments of the Lord.
Right, and that's what the fringe was for. And as we can remember that we have what? Laws, statutes, and commandments to keep on the Most High. We remember that we have a covenant to keep with the Most High, right? Jump back up to verse 38, Babakasha, and read back from the top. I want to get it a part in verse 38. Right? Give me from the top again, Babakasha.
Numbers chapter 15 and verse 38. Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they may make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations.
Alright, that's the part I want to get in. Let's say what? Throughout what?
Throughout their generations.
Throughout the generations. So we were supposed to keep passing down this law to be trained, and then go back down to their children and to their children, and it will keep going on. You understand? So what's showing here that the law wasn't supposed to, and not supposed to come a day we're saying the law is done away with. You understand where I'm from? This is also something that we're supposed to keep passing down to generation upon generation upon generation, right? And because that is the black, the Hispanic, and the Native Indian man culture, right? Continue to the end, and then we'll jump to the next verse. Babakasha. I was the end now?
Go ahead. And that they put upon the fringe of the border the ribbon of blue.
Right. So just like we said before, at the border of the fringe, they put a ribbon of blue. Right. That's in it.
So,
Right. Give me John chapter 13, and you can give me from verse 4, Babakasha. Right. So, and this will kind of explain, right, that your garment is not your undergarment, you understand, or your underclothes, right, and not t-shirts like we will see some of these fake Israelites have this kind of stringy thing in the bottom of the shirt, at the bottom of the t-shirt, right? That is not fringes, right? You're not supposed to put fringes on your normal everyday clothes, right? Or you're not supposed to wear fringes. You're walking in, I don't know, in the ambulance service, and you have fringes on your ambulance jacket. And so you're working construction, and so in a jumpsuit, and you have a set of fringes for you to go and hook up in a machine and suck in, right? Right? That's not supposed to happen, right? Give me John 13 and verse 4, Babakasha.
John chapter 13 and verse 4. And Yahushua, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hand, and that he was come from the Most High.
Yes, hold on. John 13 and 4. John chapter 13 and verse 4.
13 and verse 4?
Yeah.
Black guy not reading true.
Alright, cool. I know what, man.
John chapter 13 and verse 4. He riseth from supper.
Right. So this Christ here, right? So it's saying now, right? Christ riseth from supper, go ahead.
And laid aside his garments.
And laid aside what?
And laid aside his garments.
Right. And laid aside his garments. No. To show you the garment was an outer clothing, right? Right? It doesn't mean that Christ stripped himself naked. You understand? He did what? He rose from supper and laid aside his garments. Continue.
And took a towel.
And took a towel.
And girdled himself.
Right. And right there, people would think that he take off all the clothes and wrap himself in a towel. Right? And that is for the Christian mind. Right? But go down to verse 5, Babakasha.
Verse 5. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet.
Right. So he poured water in a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet. Right. Continue.
And to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girdled.
Right. So he take off all the clothes, and then the same towel he wrap himself with naked. He decided to dry the feet. No, I don't mean that. You understand? What he had on clothing underneath, but the garment was like how you see them brothers on the street or all the trova garment, right? So that a priestly garment. So he removed the priestly garment from him, and then now he wrap a towel around his waist, like how you have a big towel wrap around his waist and leave the end hanging, and he was able to, when he washed the disciples' feet, he used that to wipe the feet. You understand? So he tied around his waist, and then you wash the feet, and you use the end to dry the foot, right? But it doesn't mean that he was naked. Understand? Right? Your garment is like a priestly garment, an outer garment, right? And this garment is where you go have all your fringes and these kind of things and that. But in normal everyday clothes and them kind of thing, you wouldn't have fringe on anything, right? You have fringe on your priestly garments, right? So, the garments you go wear out as a priest, right? Right, so that is the end of verse 5, right?
Come.
Right. You give me Numbers chapter 27 and verse 16, Babakasha. Alright, so now we get a basic understanding of some of the laws, because we can't go through all tonight. Right, so you get a basic understanding of some of the laws that the Most High gave us to keep, right, and to keep us righteous and holy as a upright and understanding people, a wise and understanding people, right? Numbers chapter 27 and verse 16, Babakasha. Let's back and catch up with you. 16 and 27. Slack here. Numbers 27 and verse 16. I feel I'm gonna be. I feel I'm gonna be miss this one here. I'll go find it. Right? Give me the Deuteronomy 14 and 1, Baba Kusha. By the time I'm looking for this one here. Alright, go ahead, number here, Deuteronomy 14 and verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 1. You are the children of the Most High, your power. You shall not cut yourselves, nor make baldness between your eyes for the dead.
Right, and this is what our Lord, the Most High, gave unto us, right? Continue.
Verse 2. For thou art an holy people unto the Most High, thy power.
Wait, is what?
For thou art an holy people unto the Most High, thy power.
That's right, right? Let me catch up with it. This is Deuteronomy 14 and 1, right?
Okay.
Right, so we're coming to verse 2, Baba Kusha.
Deuteronomy chapter 14 and verse 2. For thou art an holy people.
Right, so the Lord make us a holy people, which means holy means separate. So He made us a separate people. Word.
Unto the Most High thy power.
Right, so we are that separate people unto the Most High. Right, the Most High chose us. He separate us from all the other nations on the face of the earth. Right, go ahead.
And the Most High had chosen thee to be a particular people.
Right, He chose us to be a peculiar people. Go ahead.
Unto Himself.
Unto Himself. Right, go ahead.
Above all nations that are upon the earth.
Above what?
Above all the nations that are upon the earth.
That's right. Out of all the nations on the earth, right? The nation of Israel, the nation of the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man, the Most High choose us to be above all people on the face of the earth. We are a special people, right? And these things you will never learn in the Christian church, right? The Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man is a special people unto the Most High. That is why we in the condition we is today. And nobody can understand why the black man always suffering on the streets and always struggling, right, to make something happen. You understand? It's because we under the punishments of the Most High for not keeping His laws, His statutes, and His commandments, right? Continue to verse 3, Baba Kusha.
Verse 3. Thou shalt not eat any abominable thing.
Right, so we wasn't one of the things. This is also a law that the Most High gave us. He gave us a dietary law, and we were not supposed to eat nothing abominable. How we gonna know what is abominable? When you go through the dietary law in Leviticus 11, it will give you all the things that we should eat and the things that we should not eat. Right, and even in Deuteronomy 14, it also have things that we should not eat. Right, and we'll go through one of them. Right, so jump to verse 8, Baba Kusha.
Verse 8. The swine.
Right, one of the things that we're not supposed to eat is pork. Right, the swine is the pig. Right, and they get pork from pig. Right, they're not supposed to eat pork. All right, continue.
Because it divided the hoof.
Right, because it divided the hoof. Go ahead.
Yet shut not the cord.
Right, and for us to know what animals we're supposed to eat from what we not supposed to eat. Right, it's supposed to divide the hoof. Right, meaning have a split hoof. Right, when you watch like a goat or a deer or a cow, understand that have the split hoof, that have the space between, looking like two toes, but have a space in between. Right, so you're cloven footed. Right, and they had to be able to chew the cud as well. When you watch certain animals, you go see them after the graze for a while, they'll go sit down, and then you will see them bringing back up the food and chewing it again. and then sending it back down and then bringing up more again and chewing. Right? So they have a certain amount of chambers in the stomach. Right? There are different breed animals. Right? And goat is through the cud, cow is through the cud, sheep. Right? Deer and these things that's through the cud, and also they are cloven footed. So in order for you to know if you could eat the meat from these animals, they must have the two. They must be cloven footed and they must chew the cud, right? But for the pig is only cloven footed, but it does not chew the cud. Right? So it is an unclean animal and we're not supposed to eat pork, right? According to the Bible. Right? Continue.
Verse 4.
No, slack here. Yours on verse 8.
Oh, verse 8.
You can read back from the top here.
Oh, right there. And the swine, because he divided the hoof, yet he chewed not the cord. It is unclean unto you. You shall not eat of their flesh.
Right? So we're not supposed to eat pork, right? You're not supposed to eat of the flesh of the pig, right? Continue.
Nor touch the dead carcass.
Right? And if it's about dead carcass somewhere, right? We're not supposed to just take we hand and just lift it up and go and throw it. That's where I'm coming from, right? And or even touch it as to eat it. You know, some people they just see an animal bounce down and they say, well, when I get bounced, so we go eat it. Nah, you're not supposed to do that, right? Right? If you had to deal with these animals, I don't know, you get a truck, or if it's too big, you get a forklift and lift it up and dump it somewhere, right? But we're not supposed to deal with any of the dead flesh from these carcasses, right? And when I look up the science behind it, the pig is a very toxic animal, right? A lot of worms, like some of them, I think is the trichinosis worm or whatever, live in the meat of the pig. You understand? And that just go all up to the brain and to major organs, right? And cause very detrimental disease to humans, right? So that dangerous meat. And some people say, well, I eating pork years now. You understand? And look, nothing happened to me. Yeah, nothing happened there. Just at this scripture we read, nothing happened there yet. You understand? that we really feel to understand. And that the Christian should feel that feel to tell us, right? That the punishment for these things, although it didn't happen now, sometimes the Most High be giving it a grace. You understand? So that you go meet one of the prophets in the I.S.U.P.K and you go tell your pork not good to eat. You understand? And hopefully you change your mind about eating pork, right? And start to eat the lawful food that the Most High say we're supposed to eat, right? Some of these diseases, like some of these, I think, check down the back. Some of these diseases, like arthritis and some of these things coming from the toxicity of the different meats that we're not supposed to eat. You understand? A lot of them causing people the back bend, the finger become deformed and all these kind of things. And all the doctor will tell you is, well, I feel you shouldn't eat meat again, right? But he's not telling you which meat you shouldn't eat. You understand where I'm coming from? And that is the problem. You understand? So we're thinking, well, I'm not supposed to eat meat again. No. You understand? It's because you're eating all these meats that you're not supposed to eat according to the Bible. All these meats filled with toxic things in it and causing it to become very sick. Right? And as I say, the Bible is the manual for the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man to live on the earth. And if that is the manual for Black, Hispanic to live on the earth, then they might as well follow it, right? Right, so that was the end of verse 8, right? Right. Jump back to Numbers 27 and verse 16, Baba Kusha. I thought I had 16 and 27, but it was really Numbers 27 and 16.
Numbers 27 and verse 16. Let the Most High, the power of spirit of all flesh, set in man.
Right. So the first part says, let the Most High, the power of all spirits of all flesh. Right. So he in control of all spirits of all flesh. Right. Everybody under the Most High control. Right. Go ahead.
Set a man over the congregation.
Set who?
set a man over the congregation.
Who's supposed to be over the congregation? Set a what?
Set a man over the congregation.
So if the Most High, right, set a man over the congregation, how come we have this today? How come we have female pastors today? You understand? It's immediately showing you how mad Christianity is. You understand? Because the Most High set it from since the beginning that a man should be what? Over the
congregation.
A man supposed to be over the congregation. You understand? From no woman supposed to be on no pulpit. All these things is laws that are written in the Bible, and the Christian church do not follow. You understand? That is why we just tell people come out of the Christian church. Right? A woman not supposed to be on the pulpit preaching anything. That is not of the Most High, right? As a disrespect to the Most High, actually, right? Go down to verse 17, Baba Kusha.
Verse 17, which may go out before them, and which may go in before them, and which may let them out.
Which may lead them out, go ahead.
Which may lead them out, and which may bring them in,
right?
That the congregation of the Most High be not as sheep, which have no shepherd.
All right. So it's saying is this person in charge will be able to work, carry out the congregation and bring them back in, right? And nobody would be fallen by the wayside, right? And here we say, here the last part say, right? The reason why a man should be set over the congregation, that the congregation of the Lord may not be as sheep that have no shepherd. So then look at all these religious denominations that have women over the congregation as pastors. The Most High consider that flock as what? Sheep with no shepherd. So the Most High not seeing a leader. That is how sad it is. And what one female pastors have out here. And them congregation that following sheep, the Most High seeing them as sheep without a shepherd. And these are laws written down in the Bible. And that the Christian church and all these religious institutions, they don't pay attention to. And making a mockery of the Most High. But the Most High will get vengeance for these things. The Most High make sure and set it. That read back top of verse 16, Baba Kusha, Numbers 27, 16.
Numbers chapter 27, verse 16. Let the Most High, the power of spirits of all flesh, set a man over the congregation.
That's right. So a man, right, from the beginning of time, when it comes to the things of the Lord, to do the priestly work of the Lord, a man is supposed to be over the congregation. Just like today, the I.S.U.P.K, we have a commanding GEN.YAHANNA. A man of the Lord over the congregation of Israel. Understand? And that is how important these things is to follow. And sometimes people, when they go to the street, that's not in the Bible. Well, yeah, it's in the Bible. Understand? That a man supposed to be over the congregation. Right? Maybe just take one more and we will close off, right?
Like I said.
Go ahead, Sasha.
When you come back to that analogy, right? There's something like when I think it's Barnabas come to Christ in the night.
No, when Nicodemus.
Nicodemus, right? When Nicodemus come to Christ in the night. So let's imagine you have a pastor, a woman pastor, and a man has some problems and things. And they for some about 2 o'clock in the morning, like pastor, I really have a problem. I really have to talk to you and things. So now she has her husband now, and she has her husband now. So she husband like more or less know what to stay up with you to see.
Yeah, because she gotta come out and see what's the problem. The Christian church back to front. Yeah. Understand?
Compare now if you are the male now, hey, that woman had to worry what she husband. She don't know already what she husband capable of, and she had to think about she business.
That's right.
And thing.
Understand? That is what the Most High make a man to be over the congregation, right? We will close up with give me Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 27, Baba Kusha. We will close up with this. Right? This is a common one that a lot of people not aware of. A lot of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians unaware, right, of these things, right? all these laws, statutes, and commandments the Most High gave us to follow, and this is what makes us a wise and understanding people, right? Beyond all the other nations of the earth. All right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Leviticus 19 and verse 27. You shall not wrong the corners of your head, neither shalt thou mark the corners of thy bed.
Right? So we're not supposed to wrong the corners of the head. When I say wrong the corner of the head and mark the bed, that shape up. Right? We're not supposed to be going by the Bible to get shape up like the white man, right? Or like some Egyptian. All them thing was Egyptian custom back then, right? We're not supposed to continue lower down, but we're not supposed to shape we beard either. That was the end. That was the end of verse.
Read it over.
Yeah, start back on top of 19 and 27. Right?
Leviticus chapter 20 and verse
19 and 27.
19 and verse 27. You shall not wrong the corners of your head, neither shalt thou mark the corners of thy bed.
Right, and you're not supposed to mark up your bed. You're not supposed to shave off your bed. Right, it's like how this man looking in. You understand? So if you're smooth, right, and you're looking all effeminate, that the black Hispanic and Native Indian man not supposed to be looking like this. All right. So the Most I even give you a stipulation about how to carry about yourself manly, right, with masculinity, not this smooth type of thing, right? Right, and all the shape ups is like this, right? So all the edges you know what I mean? All shape up and how we shape all the beard and thing. That smooth type of look, right? The Most I never wanted the black Hispanic and Native Indian man to have a smooth kind of look. We supposed to exude a certain amount of masculinity, right? A man's supposed to grow a beard, right? You're not supposed to have your face smooth like a baby bamsi. You know what I mean? Or these kind of things, right? Right? It's supposed to be looking more manly, right? Right? This man, he plait beard underneath. You understand where I'm coming from? But when you watch him, you know it's a man. From a distance, the one this one on the edge here.
Oh yes, yeah, I realize that.
Yeah, right. And another one, right? It's like all this man is here, a manly attire, right? But however your hairline is grow, some people hairline is grow neat, some people that's just how it is. You understand? You could braid your hair, you understand? You could plait your hair, you could grow out your beard, but it must exude a manly expression. Right?
Like I said, that one look at it.
You understand where I'm from? Right? So these of our man should care about yourself. Grow out your beard. You want to grow out your hair in a afro. Some people like the big afro. Some people like to plait the hair. These kinds of things. But it must look manly. Nobody must watch you and can't tell if it's a male or a female. Right? That is craziness. Right? That is the white man effeminate way that he bring upon the face of the earth. Right? When you watch the white man today, when you watch him in a suit, he decides to take in the suit extra small. And I stand until he body printing on through the suit. All that is being effeminate. You know what I mean? Right? So all these is things that the Most High gave us, and understand that we should follow and keep and do. These are just some of the laws that the Most High gave us to follow and do, right? And to keep and to be an upright and righteous nation, and not follow the culture and not be carried away by the culture of society today, right? We're not supposed to follow the culture of the other nations. The black, Hispanic, and Native Indian man have laws, they have statutes, and he has judgments, right? You have an entire constitution for an entire nation right here in the Bible, right? And to get that understanding, they need to come in to the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding GEN.YAHANNA and ask your questions, and you will have them answered and get the right breakdown, right? And not be enslaved by the sinful and lustful culture of the other nations of this earth, right? And with that, we will pass the class over to priest and officer Shah.
Security announcement. I.S.U.P.K out of 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command in General Yohanna. The rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes in the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves off the wood. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to your brother or sister. There's another 6 months where the brother or sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithe, which is the commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means 10 in Hebrew, and Sperm said, my share. 10% of every penny and piece the Most High gives you, give to your treasury department or teacher, priest fund, period offering for priest, non-mandatory. Whatever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation, that will be Purim, the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month. That will be Tuesday, February 25th, and Friday, the 26th February. 2021. That way you can find this in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verse 20 to 31. Reminder, our young attempt to check on social media such as I.S.U.P.K, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and material. If your brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, light shirt, light pants, light headband or scarf. So that we see I imagine. So we're going to say the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Badash, Aya, Shamka, Yahawa, Lakwaka, Taba'a, Atazaka, Aya, Aisha, Barataza, Kawa, Aya, Washemayim, Natan, Lanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Abawakinawa, Mala'a, Tabayanawa, Ball, Oshainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Amalakwa, Wataparat, Aman.
What we said in the English was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
You're going to say the Hakat, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Abakasha, Latanawa, Hakat, Lapara, Kalmakala, Kalmadawan, Hakat, Lata, Amatazarium, Hakat, Lakawayam, Amatayam, Hakat, Ayakawat, Atamayala, Lagarashun, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Tawada Aman. What we said in the English was Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai. Please give us the power, to heal, all manner of sickness, and all manner of disease, the power to cleanse the lepers, the power to raise the dead, the power against unclean spirits, cast them out, in the name of Yahushai. Thank you. So be it. You're going to see the blessings in Hebrew. Barak,
Ata,
Yahweh,
Yahushai,
Wa Makala, Wa Alhayam,
Matazabia,
Alawapiahana, Halawapiam, Asaranyam, Hakwat Zalianyam, Hakwat Yaliam, Wadwatiam, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahushai, Tawada Aman.
What we said in the English was, Blessed be Yahweh, and Yahushai, and Michael, and the angels, commanded GEN.YAHANNA, generals, captains, officers, troopers, and the sisters. Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai, we thank you. So be it. This is the I.S.U.P.K curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh.
Blessed are you, Yahweh.
King of heaven and earth.
King of heaven and earth.
And all things living.
And all things living.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh
In
Shai.
the name of Yahweh.
Listen to us now.
Listen to us now.
Right now.
Right now.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
That speak against us.
That speak against
thy
us.
prophets.
Thy prophets.
The teachers.
The teachers.
The princes.
The princes.
The priests.
The priests.
The Israelite brothers.
The Israelite brothers.
And the school.
And the school.
Send evils and curses.
Send evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the heathen.
To the heathen.
And shake loose.
And shake loose.
The treasure of the rich of Israel.
The treasure of the rich of Israel.
That refuse to give to the
That
school.
refuse to give to the school.
Force their riches.
Force their riches.
To enter into thy sanctuary.
Enter their sanctuary.
Send evils and
Send
curses.
evils and curses.
And punishment and destruction.
And punishment and destruction.
To the Edomites.
To the Edomites.
And the nations.
And the nations.
And their drug dealers.
And the drug
The
dealers.
court system.
The court system.
The prison system.
The prison system.
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
All the governments of our enemies.
All the governments of our enemies.
Annex synagogues and armies.
Amen. Synagogues and armies.
Roman Catholic Church.
Roman Catholic
The
Church.
Pope.
The Pope.
Islam.
Islam.
Christianity.
Christianity.
Egyptology.
Egyptology.
Militia.
Militia.
Ku Klux Klan.
Ku Klux Klan.
Aryan Nation.
Aryan Nation.
Skinheads.
Skinheads.
Political mortality.
Mortality.
Gay movement.
Gay movement.
Lesbian movement.
Lesbian movement.
Spies.
Spies.
Workers of witchcraft.
Workers of witchcraft.
NASA space program.
NASA space program.
Army.
Army.
Navy.
Navy.
Air Force.
Air Force.
Marine.
Marine.
Wall Street.
Wall Street.
Open up the internet.
Open up the internet.
And the airwaves.
And the airwaves.
The cable access channels.
Cable access channel.
And the radio channels.
And the radio channel.
Convict the spirits
Convict the spirit
of any of thy people
of any of thy people
that seek to stop
that
us
seek to stop us
and bring swift destruction
and bring swift destruction
to all the heathen
all the heathen
that stand in the way
that stand our way
or try to stop
or
us
try to stop
from
us
broadcasting your
from
words
broadcasting your
throughout
word
the planet earth.
through the planet.
Let loose all the
Let
plagues,
loose all the plagues.
cause them to go to and
For
fro
them to go to and
through
fro
the earth
through the earth
and consume
and
them.
consume them.
Let the plagues
Let the plagues
shake the house of the thief
take the house of the thief
and the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahushua,
Let the outside
Michael, and Gabriel
and Gabriel
come down with the flying
come
saucers
down with the flying
and
saucers
punish all the heathen
and punish all the heathen
that come up against us
come up against us
as we speak thy
as
word.
we speak your word.
Cause it to be known by
Cause
all
it to be known by all
that it is the angels that have done it.
as the angels have done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media,
Cause it to spread through the media
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy
For
coming.
them to seek out thy
In the
coming.
name of
In
Yahushua.
the name of Yahweh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. We're going to say the blessings of Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Basham,
Basham,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Rakanawa,
Barakanawa,
Rashala,
Baashala,
Wahabayat,
Wahabayat,
Saparium,
Saparium,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapa,
Rapa,
Magan,
Agan,
Agan,
Hagan, Commander Gen.YAHANNA,
Commander Gen.YAHANNA,
Generals,
Generals,
Captains,
Captains,
Officers,
Officers,
Troopers,
Troopers,
Sisters,
Sisters,
Children,
Children,
all in the sword of
all
Israel,
the children of
all
Israel,
those fighting to come to the truth.
all those fighting coming to
John family,
John family,
the Koto family,
Koto family,
Alexis family,
Alexis family,
Philip family,
Philip family. Brothers and sisters in I.S.U.P.K,
brothers and sisters in the I.S.U.P.K,
brothers and sisters fighting coming into
brothers and sisters finally come to the truth.
children and babies in I.S.U.P.K,
Children and babies in the I.S.U.P.K,
Francois family,
Francois family,
Wrong family,
Wrong family,
Zion,
Zion,
Wesleyan,
Wesleyan,
Daniela,
Daniela,
Jamelia,
Jamelia,
Ashida,
Ashida,
Trisha,
Trisha,
Mayelin,
Mayelin,
Nima,
Nima,
Khadija,
Khadija,
Chantel,
Chantel,
Basham,
Basham,
Yahushai,
Yahushai,
Tawada Aman.
Tawada Aman. What we said in the English was, Lord,
Lord,
in the name of
in the name
Yahushai,
of Yahushai,
bless us
bless us
and Israel
and Israel
and the school.
and the school.
Bless,
Bless,
heal,
shield,
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 protect
protect
our loved ones.
our loved ones.
In the name of
In
Yahushai,
the name of
we
Yahushai.
thank you.
Thank you.
So be it.
So be it. Sir, let's get a teacher one crazy suit. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak. Yahweh Bashim Yashai Barakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yeshua B'Ketam.
Yadimata. Sir, let's get sisters online one crazy suit. Imagine Shabbat. Imagine Barak.
Yahweh Shema Latam B'Hashem Yahushai.
Yadimata. Class dismissed.